Hey folks, it's Tim DeMella, and this video I want to talk about something that's very important. It's called prejudice. And what is death and prejudice? What do they have in common? Um, well, a prejudiced mind is basically a dead mind. How is that? Because you're not aware of the humanity in others, in any particular person. You combine people into a mass of people to the point where you can't even see them as individual persons with individual minds, with individual hearts. Now, it's not uncommon. It's not easy not to be prejudiced. What happens though is when these people that you are prejudiced against should not even exist because they don't even matter. All they are is just a pestilence in society. And see, what I'm saying is they. Okay. Now, I want to be, I want to be, I want to say this correctly. There are people who are so mentally ill, the chances of them bringing back from mental illness is very rare, and these are people that are so ingrained in their prejudices that these are like narcissists, uh, and anybody like that, narcissists, psychopaths, sociopaths, that thinking. On the other spectrum, um, it really is the same thing. You think that okay, on the other spectrum, those are the oppressive, where on the other spectrum it's the oppressed. Well, if you are so angry at being oppressed, at your oppressor, then basically you have an ego just as big as the oppressor is, and you can't see a way out. The prejudice of one side and the other side is the same. Okay? You start seeing everybody as that way. Okay? And I'm not just talking about race and color and of your skin and things like that. I talked about anything. Let's take world religion for instance. Okay, how many religions have you heard? Do you know that they say it's our religion or you're going to hell? And so they basically abandon you as not even a person. So now you think, okay, well, who's dead and who's alive? Uh, Obviously, those people who think that they're it and you're not going anywhere see you as non existent. They may feel sorry for you, but they don't want anything to do with you. Um, and uh, and they have a huge prejudice, a huge prejudice. Um, and they are really the dead. They're not open to any other possibility or anything like that. They want to be like that. They are like that. And so they really are dead. Um, because, as we all know, who are aware, who do see the individual person, even though they may be in a religion, they may be in some other institution or whatever. Okay, we who are aware of the person and not the people um, know that can discern between those who are very mentally ill and really you're never going to change. You can't change anybody. They're never going to want to change. Um, and those who are just know not what they do. They just are prejudiced because they idolize somebody who's prejudiced. And these people are not thinking for themselves. These people are not getting with the presence within them to listen, because that presence that I was talking about in the last video, unconditionally loving presence, would clarify everything for them if they would just believe in the existence of it. And what I'm saying here also is that people can be so conditioned growing up that they don't matter, that they don't mean anything, that they're all full of sin, that you're lucky that God has given you grace. And you realize later in life, if you get a life, and this is the life I'm talking about with these 12 steps, you realize, no, there's no sin. No, there's no grace. Because you are perfect as a human being with feelings and all that. And if it and so if you say, well, you're sinning, that means that I'm not human. I'm not allowed to be human. Okay. They say, well, you're not obeying our rules, company or any group of people with these rules, these prejudices say, well, you're not obeying, so we're going to excommunicate you. We're going to fire you, whatever. You're just a dollar sign, is all you are. You don't see it's everywhere. It really is. In the economy, okay, stocks, for instance. If you have a stock in a company, do you really know that company? Do you really understand that company? Are you allowed to really understand that company, or do you just see that it's a company that looks like it's going somewhere, the stock's rising, and I want some of that stock? You are not seeing the individual people working hard, having a life of their own with the feelings and the humanity. You're not seeing the individual people. You're just seeing a company. Okay? And so being dead means you're prejudiced to the point where you can't even see individual people, and the feelings they have, and the lives they have, and the things they have to endure, and things like that. You're not seeing that. Okay, you're not seeing that. And you're kind of insane, really, if you do see that, and you say, well, only if they believed the way I believed, they could go to heaven like I'm going to heaven, or they could make $1 billion, like I've made $1 billion, and all that. Then you're going into the grandiose, narcissistic, and so forth stages. Um, and it's very, very, very unhealthy to the point I don't even know if you could come back from it. Take a miracle. Um, so, so what's the comparison of prejudice and death? They're the same thing. They're the same thing. Okay, when you have been told that you're part of peoples that don't matter because you don't think the way I think, you, especially when you idolize somebody else other than the unconditionally loving presence within you, um, and even to that point, when you get to a certain point, that presence doesn't want to be idolized anymore. It wants to join with you like this, equally. Um, so, that's the thing, is that when you're prejudiced like that, you're dead. You're dead inside. If you can't see the existence and the humanity in others, then I doubt you can see it within yourself. And that humanity, that presence, that love is in here. And so you're disconnected. You're totally disconnected from it. And if you're disconnected from your presence, which is your living power, you're dead, right? So that's why I'd make these videos, to help you become aware of the living presence that is within you, and that the first step is believing in it. Because if you've grown up so much to the point that you have been prejudiced against, and you fall into that, which children obviously will, then you feel dead inside. Like you're not alive, you don't even exist. Why even bother? Okay, that's what narcissists will do to you, especially parents. And so the first step in all this, to come out of it, is to believe in a presence that's unconditionally loving. That's very important in you, that will raise you, as it did me, from the beginnings of childhood all the way to adulthood. No longer idolize those that you believe are in power. Okay? No longer be prejudiced against one political party. Okay? Because when you say, I hate these people and I hate these people, you're not even seeing them as human beings. The fifth step in life, right, is what, on the road of life, is what? Understand. What does that do? That gets rid of the prejudice that you have in your mind against you and against others. All right, that's the beginning. Okay, and why against you? Because you believing in this spirit within you, this presence within you, and then you converse with it, you get with it, and you converse with it. Okay, you're going to understand that you do have this presence, and it is true that you do have this presence, and that's a reality. Okay, where before you thought you didn't even exist. There was one time that I felt like I was like in a pit of despair. Some people might call it a valley. Some people might call it a desert. But how was I going to get out of that? how was I going to get out of that? By doing these steps. Now, I didn't have these steps. I wasn't aware of how these steps went until the very end. But as I lived them, then I put it together, and I said, wait a minute. This was a milestone. This was a milestone. This was a milestone, because I felt these things within me, milestones along the way, and I eventually called them steps, and then I realized this was how it works. Will it work for you? I don't know. All I know is that they work. It works for me, and I'm pretty sure that they're just natural steps that everybody needs to go through in order to find a connection, the self-esteem. Because when you don't have self-esteem, you feel like you're in a pit. You're disconnected. You're in the dark. Why don't I have access to what's going on in the world? What's really going on in the world? The truth. Well, the truth is that you do have access. But you've been protesting and protesting one against another, and you've been focusing on the wrong thing. Okay? First, come to know you in here, your presence in here. Okay? Then you will start seeing things clearly. Just like what I'm talking about. Your prejudice will go away. Your acceptance of yourself being human allows you to perceive others the same way. And that's called acceptance, but it's also called conversion. This is the true conversion, not the conversion into an institutionalized way of thinking. That's prejudice. I don't think anybody ever started out being prejudiced. When you start converting into an institutionalized mind, you are now converting into prejudice, which delivers you into death instead of the other way around, which delivers you into life. Okay? So ask yourself, your presence in here. Believe that you have a presence in here that unconditionally loves you. Go through these first 5 steps that I have, and then decide. And then decide for yourself on the 6th step. Will I take a leap of faith in seeing myself and accepting myself human and worthy? Because you are always worthy. You are not sinful. You do not need grace. Okay? You need love. And we all do. And not just any love, but unconditional love. There's only one type of love, and that's unconditional. There's no other type of love. Conditional love is not love. It's just ego. And if you have an ego, then you're going to say sin. If you have an ego, then you're going to say grace. Okay, if you have this swelled ego, and you're going to like that if you are given the power, because then you have all these followers who look up at you, and that's a way that they can control you. Sin, 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 sin. And you're lucky I forgive you. You're lucky I give you grace, and so forth, so on. You are dead to them. You have to understand that. They don't see you as a human being. They see you as a flock. They see you as the masses. They see you as pitiful, shameful. And the reason why is because they are pitiful. They are truly shameful because of how they treat people, especially and the person. They don't even see the person as truly existing. Okay, because they see themselves more like up there with God, like this with God, and a God that they won't even recognize within themselves because they don't feel like they deserve to be anywhere near the presence within them, anywhere near, because the way they grew up and the way they were prejudiced against. Okay, so it's up to you. You can stay in that world of death and the dead, or you can start coming into life and believing in a presence within you. And that's the first thing to do until you come to the point where you accept yourself human. And then you will start seeing things clearly. Humanity, or a human versus the inhuman, or a humane versus the inhumane. And you'll see quite clearly the difference. Okay? And that's the big problem we have today. Too many people, too many persons being prejudiced against and prejudiced to, and them prejudiced to. Okay? Prejudice meaning prejudging. I judge you already. I know you. I know what you're going to do. You're part of this group, and boom. Okay, and you don't deserve anything. You don't deserve to really live, and that's what brings about all the violence that you're seeing today, and you're being manipulated, and with all this news and everything. They don't even see you as a person. Okay, they just see you as a rating. So do yourself a favor and just take the first few steps of what I'm saying. If you don't like it, don't, because I'm not a religion. I'm not a religion. Okay, I want you to see yourself as your own person. And if I never see you, fine. Okay. In fact, I would say, and I've always said this for a very long time, if I had a church, which my presence in here says no, but if I did, my goal in the end would see every seat in my church empty. What I mean is that they have graduated to the point of not needing to come anymore, not wanting to come anymore, because they've found themselves and who they are, and they can go live life on their own, doing their own thing and everything, never having to come see me ever again, whatever. That's the goal. That's the goal. Okay? And ask yourself, is that the goal of the institutions that you're a part of? Is that the goal? No. I don't know any institution, religious, corporate, whatever, that's the goal. That's not the goal. Okay? So, anyway, I just wanted to make sure you understood that. And I'm talking to the person here. Okay, I'm talking to the person here. Okay, be conscious of that you do exist. Okay, that you do exist. That you do matter. All right. and focus more on focus first and foremost on the presence that you have in here before focusing on everything that's happening in the world and protesting against it and all that. Because after that's all gone, what do you have? Nothing. If you can't protest anything anymore, what do you have after that? Do you have peace? No. Because remember what I said in earlier videos. The have and the have-nots, they can't do without one another. They feed on one another because they don't have a life in here. In fact, they have a pit that of despair that they're living in, and you can almost call it a grave, I guess, if you want to. So just know I love you as a single human being, and if I ever come across and meet you, you will be a human being that's you that I'm looking at, not one of many, but only one of one. Okay? Love you, and I'll talk to you later. Bye.